Right now.
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 Because it's time to right now.
Welcome to the Right Now community. I'm Kaufman on a mission to help the writers of the world by solving all the problems with putting a dragon on it. I'm Kaufman. You found yourself in another daily writing motivation stream. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today, we're going to be doing not one, not two, but 3 writing sprints. So if you need to get some work done on your storytelling, you have come to the right place. I know I was at a roadblock with Scarecrow, my book that I'm working on, which is a dark fantasy action adventure. I was at a roadblock on it for a good portion of January. I finally hit the breaking point. I broke through this week. I am on a great roll. So I know I really, really want to push through it and get through the writing vibes myself. And yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. So what we'll do is, as usual, those of our community members, we'll do the writing sprints, and then in between the sprints, we'll chat about, we'll catch up, and we'll see where we are at with our breaks or with our books, and kind of check in on how the writing progress is. I would love to start by hearing, what are you going to be working on today? And sometimes some of us work on one project at a time. Others of us kind of like to bounce around between different projects. Drop a comment. What are you going to be working on during the sprints? And just remember, even if you're not writing, that doesn't mean you're doing any less work. Maybe you're brainstorming that next character. Maybe you're planning out how you're going to go about the edit. Maybe you're revising, or maybe you're like, hey, I got to do a social marketing thing to get this next book out. Maybe you're querying. There's so many parts of the process that are involved in the creative process. I would love to hear what book you're focused on today. Drop a comment. All right, let me hop into the chat. Jody, glad to see you in here, my friend. Like, hello, hanging out for a while until I bake a cake for my daughter's birthday. Love it. Jody, I saw your submission email come in. I'm going to respond to it a little later today, but I'm very, very excited. Very, very excited, my friend. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully you guys are doing something fun for your daughter's birthday. It sounds like you got the cake all set up. I'm like, what type of cakes do I usually eat? I was like, I guess cookie dough cake was always my favorite. Cookie dough, ice cream, and cake was always awesome. I don't tend to do cake as much these days. I'm an old man. Hey, what's up, Bethany? I'm ready. I'm in. SpongeBob, hi. Hi. Bethany, love it. Love having you in the stream, my friend. ML, welcome, welcome. Hope everything is well today. Hopefully getting in some good writing vibes. Tiara in the house. Calvin, Courtney, what's up, guys? Glad to have you in here. Bethany is like, my daughter's B-day was yesterday. January babies. So it sounds like we got some January love over here. Courtney, you're like finishing chapter 1 of Fallen. Good. So important. You're really fine-tuning that first part of the book, right? If people don't like the first chapter, they stop reading. The first chapter is so important. Like Jody, editing book 5. Bethany, I made a breakthrough last night after the live. Yes. Woo! I love it. Sometimes it just takes the right writing sprint or the right stream. Tiara, like I'm working on Substack essay today. Interesting. I love it. I'm very curious. I don't use Substack that much, but I hear a lot of good things from other writers who do use Substack. That's awesome. Calvin, I'm done editing, so I'm working on my other story for today's writing sprints. And ML, I plan on drinking coffee. Well, you and me both, friend. I already got through my coffee for the day. All right, my friends. So let's hop into it. We'll check in on how the writing progress is going on our first break. So let's get into it. You guys see, I already have my screen all set up. We're going to start with 25 minutes on the clock. I'm ready. Are you ready? All right. So I am all good to go. I will probably pull up my outline. I'm not going to explain it too much. I know I've explained it a number of times. So I'm just going to pull up my outline here. Those of you who don't know my personal process, when I am in revising mode, I like to go through a chapter. That was the last chapter. I'm in 13 now. I like to do a little bit of a summary and determine what my personal editing goals are for the chapter. So that's what I'm going to start with before I hop into this next chapter. But I am all set. Are you? All right, let's do it. So I got 25 minutes on the clock, and it's time to right now. All right. And that is writing sprint number 1. Woo, man. How did that sprint work out for you? Were you able to make some progress that time? I know for me, I was actually feeling pretty good about that first sprint. I didn't get as much writing in for that one as I had intended, but I realized because I had to finish planning out what I needed to do for this chapter that I'm working on. And in planning that out, I have to adjust the beginning of it to now match the last chapter that I had just written. And I'm asking myself, I was realizing there was a couple things that I had to go back and fix. I realized I had to go back and adjust a foreshadow in one of the previous chapters to our incoming Pixie character who's about to come back in. And then I had to adjust another something else that I had missed. When I was revealing one of the beginning chapters, I realized I had failed to mention something in the last chapter. So I had to go back and do just a couple of minor tweaks and fixes that I recognized in trying to plan foreshadow for this chapter. But now on this chapter, I think I'm at a good point. I'm technically at the beginning of the fun and games portion of the story. And I decided to start off with, a little bit of a dream, a dream sequence to an extent. Scarecrow's dreams right now are really just flashes. It's very brief, but I think in the original draft, I don't think I play to the dreams until at least like 5 to 7 chapters. But I think I'm trying to build up some of the flashbacks and Scarecrow remembering things a little more. So I think it's partial a foreshadow and then partial a wanting to throw off the reader. So yeah, I feel like I'm in a good spot though. I'm happy with what I've gotten so far. Aw, I appreciate you, Emma. Don't forget to boop the like button, everyone, and subscribe if you're not already. Much, much appreciated, my friend. Happy to see you hop into the stream. Jody, you're like, okay, off to bake the cake. Hope you have a happy birthday with your fam, Jody. Bethany, you're like, no, I was almost done with the chapter. Well, totally all good. We'll be hopping into the next sprint in just a few minutes. So totally all good. Sometimes like we pull back for a second, we can be like, okay, we have to make sure we're in a good place. I always have that problem, Bethany, where if I'm at the end of a sprint or if I'm at the end of a stream and I'm near the end of a chapter, I have to like finish the chapter. That definitely happens to me. There's been streams in the past where I definitely went way over in the last sprint because I just like completionist part of me won't let me walk away from a writing session if I'm near the end of a chapter. I feel your pain. Yeah, Calvin, I managed to get in 200 words, which is good considering I had to take care of a couple things during the sprint. That's good. Yeah, especially when you're having to like multitask and you have different competing priorities. That totally happens to the best of us. Can't tell how many words because of writing by hand. Well, that's really good for you. I know when I was growing up, one of my first books that I wrote, my first like full-length fantasy novel, I wrote it all by hand, and I want to say it probably spanned about 8 to 10 notebooks worth. I was like really determined to write that novel. I don't think I got a computer. I think I got a laptop a couple years into writing it. But yeah, it's definitely quite a different writing experience when you're writing it by hand. There's no like good or bad thing. You're just experiencing it differently, which is kind of cool. It'd be like the same thing if you were writing on like a typewriter, right? It'd be a different type of writing experience. Courtney, like I worked at the heartbreak part and the angry part now to work on finding the trunk of memories. That's good. It always feels really rewarding when you've worked through a core emotional beat, especially if it's really early on in the story. So that's actually really awesome. You're able to make some good progress. Yeah, I agree. That is a sad scene. It's like a really sad scene with her, but that's like it's like a good sad scene. Like you want the reader to feel that, like get pulled in through that, like a kind of that initial emotional depth, which works very, very well. Exactly. Like it breaks my heart for her, which is the right emotion we want to be feeling. Calvin, you're like, I do nothing but multitask. You and me both, my friend. I literally can only I like only work on things, and I always have to have like two things that I'm doing as well. I'm the type of person where I'm working on one thing, I'm listening to another thing, and then I'm watching another thing. I'm like always doing three things at once. That's me in a nutshell. Bad thing. Like I had to get a lot more papers and writing tablets. Well, I mean, you need your writing utensils. Like there's always like certain types of pens that I always like to write with. This is like one of my favorite style. It's a type of gel pen that I always really like. This is always the style pen that I always like to write with. Personally, when I'm writing down things and taking notes. Totally get that. ML, you're like, I'm working on reworking a scene, but not sure how many words. There are new words, so I'm happy. You're like, new words are always a good thing. Oh man. And I think that's always the hard part when we're dealing with rewrites. I know I've dealt with that myself. When we're doing like I'm talking like in the second draft, and then we do a writing sprint. I'm like, all right, well, how many words? I guess I include the words that I'm reviewing because technically it's like a revision. So, but that's kind of the best we can hope for in a review. But it's good that you're making some progress though, ML. That's really, really cool to hear. TR, like I like writing by hand, but I'm always rewording and rewriting. So I'm constant scribbling over what I wrote. Like I wrote this half page. You know what? I don't like that. Big scribble, scribble, scribble. All right, new half page, scribble. And then you just got periodic like lines crossed out and it looks like a hot mess. But you, as long as you can read your writing, that's literally all that matters. I actually do really appreciate it writing by hand. I don't do as much these days, more just from a time perspective with my schedule, but I've definitely done that a lot throughout my life. Yeah, like this ain't no simple feat because of the largeness of my book. But sometimes writing by hand helps you to explore ideas and concepts even more in depth because there's something there's something like a physical there's like a physically rewarding aspect to holding the pen and writing down the words and having to explore it through writing on a page. It's definitely a different writing experience that I have such appreciation for. Hey, what's up, Jenny? I saw you pop into the stream. Glad to have you in here, my friend. Hopefully you're able to get some good writing and editing on your stuff as well. I know, we're like pen picky. Like, gotta have the right pen. Only one pen works for me. Sorry, like I like those real silky, inky pens. My all-time favorite. Yeah, me too. I always go like the gel. I have to go like it's like this like silky gel, which is always my like absolute favorite. Like, yeah, I just like the style. And then I just got used to a brand many, many years ago. Tara, sometimes you don't even understand what I wrote by hand when I come back into the computer. Emma, I could just like totally imagine you like writing down like a full like story, and it's like the perfect story, and then you go back to type it, and you're like, I can't even read half of the scribble. Oh well, I guess we'll just start again. Oh, that's funny. Like I even had to upgrade my holding binder for my pages. Yeah, same here. One of my favorite types of notebooks to use. One of my favorite types of notebooks to use is the ones, I'm like, make sure I don't have anything in here, but it's these ones where the pages are interchangeable. I was like trying to see. Yeah, I was like, okay, so this is some really old stuff, but you see it's where the pages are interchangeable. So you can pull the pages out, which I absolutely love. And I'm sure you guys have seen these if you gone in an office store, but you can pull the pages out and then you can rearrange the pages. And that's like one of my favorite types of notebooks to work with because I like take notes and do things all the time, but then I need to like reorganize it. And I love the style of it so, so much. It's like one of my favorite styles of notebooks. To be fair, that looks like my manuscript right now. All the crossouts, because I'm not ready to delete it. Yeah, I got to do all the fixes before deleting it forever. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. I'm really not surprised by that. Writing by hand probably brings out a different level of creativity. It's actually, I approve. with a computer, we can just instantly delete the things, and then but with hand, like, we can't just delete it. We gotta cross it out, and then we're taking more space. So then the more we write, the more we're kinda seeing the mistakes as we're going. So it's almost like you have to be more, a little bit more particular or think about it. It's interesting. All right. So that is an excellent conversation. And we could literally, I'm sure as writers, we could be talking about pens and notebooks and writing utensils all night. So I feel like that is a good place to be. All right. And I'm going to queue up our next writing sprint. But in the meantime, let's see. What do I got here? Do you want more like writing tips to help you improve on your author journey? Whether they are writing tips, strategies, technique, then I highly recommend you should sign up to the Art of Writing newsletter. This is my personal newsletter for the Right Now community, where I will send out monthly, sometimes weekly, writing articles, stories, and exercises to help improve the process and just make the writing process easier for you. You will also receive access to our weekly live stream schedule. So if you're thinking like, or if you hit the new week and you're like, hey, I don't know when Kaufman's streaming, that's another great point. So you'll get access to it before I post it on socials on generally Sundays. Sometimes it falls on Mondays, depending on my schedule. But highly recommend for anybody who hasn't signed up before. I just dropped the sign up link down in the chat. It's also linked down in the YouTube description. So go sign up for the Art of Writing newsletter if you really want to improve your writing, get a little bit of extra help. All right, my friends. So wanted to subscribe that. And I think this means it's time for writing sprint number 2. So let's hop into the next writing sprint. And this time we're going to push ourselves. I'm going to have to step away for 1 minute. So I will kick off this writing sprint and then I'm really going to get into it. I'm starting straight into this chapter. So let's hop into it. I am ready. Whether you are brainstorming, writing, or editing, that's all part of the process. You should come join us because it's time to right now. All right. Writing number 2 complete. Writing number 2 complete. All right. Wonderful. Woof, man, I'm feeling good about that. Ooh, all right. Actually, I have a great question for y'all because this is kind of something that I'm working on right now, and I know we've talked about it before. How do you guys feel about dream sequences? Do you guys like to explore dream sequences in your writing? Let's see. I'll throw it up in the chat. Um, to write and or read dream sequences. All right, I just threw that up as the Q&A. That's literally on my mind right now, especially because I'm literally just wrote. It was like a partial dream sequence. I'm in the core rough draft. I mean, the memories and dreams are relatively important. I mean, the ability is focused on there's a Scarecrow has a memory type ability. That kind of that focuses on it's like a dream. I call it like a dreamscape. It's like a memory / dreamscape. And that's very intentional when it's explored more in the back half of the novel, but in the front half of the novel, or actually like let's say like the front half of Act 2, which is really like the next 25% of the book, I do have a character experience some memories. So actually in the beginning, I have them experience like flashes of fragmented memories, and then I have them experience like flashes of dreams. I don't do a full-on dream sequence, but I do like some dream factors. And I decided to start off that chapter with a dream sequence because I wanted to throw off the reader while also doing a little bit of foreshadowing. I was like, yeah, I was kind of interesting. I was kind of interested for sure. But yeah, I'd love to hear what you think about dream sequences. Like, do you guys write dreams? Do you guys like to write dreams in your storytelling? Or even as a reader, do you like reading about a character who's in a dream? And I think then it comes up it brings up two different points, right? A, do you want the reader to know they're in a dream? Or B, do you not want the reader to know they're in a dream? And then be like, oh, surprise, all right, they're actually in a dream, right? So I think there's two very different ways to approach dreams. Hey, what's up, Inca? I saw you popped into the stream. Welcome. We're just taking a break from our second writing sprint before we hop into the next one. And I was kind of just thinking about dream sequences and dream theory, since I'm literally kind of just added a dream sequence at the beginning of this chapter. Like, how can you stop in the middle of writing? You know what? After 390 days of consecutive writing streams, I figured out how to master my personal flow so I can hit good breaking points whenever I need to take a stop for a writing sprint. The only times that's not effective is when I hit the end of a stream and if I'm like near the end of a chapter and I feel like I have to finish it. There's the only times that I literally will keep writing. You're like, I don't dream in sequences, I dream randomly. Interesting. Yeah, and I mean, I think when I said dream sequences, I'm talking about a sequence more like as like a dream scene than a sequence. But I mean, yeah, absolutely, 100%. Tiara, like I don't usually mind dream sequences. Sometimes they can come off as a cliche, depending on how it's done. But similarly, they can be done well too. Just depends. Yeah, and I hear that a lot. That dream sequences can be very, very cliche. It's interesting. I'm curious what you would think makes a dream sequence cliche. Calvin, you're like, yes, I did a dream sequence in my first fantasy novel where my MC was communicating with their dragon spirit. And I wonder if that's different, where if it's like a form of communicating or there's like a dream world of some type, if that's a different variation of a dream sequence. Mary, like as long as it's clear it's a dream and it's necessary to move the story. That's a really good point. And I would say like if it's necessary to move the story, then is it plot focused, right? So for you, like necessary move the story? Does the dream have to be centered in the plot, or can it be focused on some character development? So let's say you're moving the character story along, but it doesn't necessarily move the plot along. I'm like, yeah, because I think that's what I think that's what these early dreams are doing. I think most of them are character development based. Yeah, and I know that's a part of your character's ability as well, Bethany. You know, I have the memory blood bubble, so I have that where the MC remembers her past through memories in the bubbles. Yeah, and I mean, I think that it's a little different when it's like part of an ability or a magical effect, because then it's built into that ability. That makes sense. So you're just not a fan of writing them. Totally see that. Dream sequences or scenes are always kind of like a different style, so I always find it really interesting. Welcome to the stream, Ghost Cat. Dreams are a great tool to get in the character's head and also show elements of the story in fun ways. Yeah, and I mean, I think that's where I kind of fall into with dreams. I think kind of similar to what Tiara said as well. I think you kind of have to balance getting the dream right and with intention. Because I've definitely read stories before where the dream kind of goes off course, then it pulls from the story. But then I've read other stories where the dream is very random, but it still feels like it serves the character. It feels like it serves the character moment. ML, like with my main character being a necromancer and is pulled into the underworld while dreaming, I like them. But I have been told that if you have dreams, it should be very important. Interesting. Interesting. You're like, there should also have more than one dream in the story if you focus on dreams. Yeah, and I think it's because I have a focus of this memory scape, of this memory world, this memory type place in my story. So it feels like dreams are like a natural extension. So I think that's kind of something that I'm exploring a little bit. And it sounds like you're kind of neutral on this one as well. You're like, I'm not a huge fan of them, but don't hate them. That's interesting, Bob. And then you should make dreams as a part of the plot. Otherwise, it will come off as a device to do backstory winky. Interesting. So then it feels like it could potentially like pull a reader out of it if it's just doing like backstory or development work. It's really interesting. Hey, what's up, Brain? Welcome. I hit the notifications and YouTube let me down. Sorry about that, Brain. But we're here now. Yeah, with notifications, sometimes YouTube lets you know. Sometimes they don't. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think usually the more often you show up to a stream, the more likely YouTube is to send you the notification when we go live. So, and then Brain, if you ever want to know what our schedule is like, if you subscribe to the Art of Writing newsletter, down in the YouTube description is a subscribe link. I send out the stream schedule on Sundays to newsletter subscribers. So if you ever want to know when my stream times are at, absolutely. But glad you're able to find us. We're going to hop in another writing sprint. So you're definitely not too late. Mary, you're like, I might think it's unreliable as dreams can be really weird. I don't want to have to interpret them. Oh, that's interesting. So you don't like the interpretation aspect. You're like, hey, I want to know what's happening with the character. I don't want it left to interpretation, which dreams is generally an interpretation style of writing. Right. And that's kind of like a different thing, right? Where if you have an ability that's a dream walker, I feel like that's different because then that's someone who's physically, technically going into a dream to further the plot. Absolutely. Yeah. So then plot driven, that makes sense. What would Nightmare on Elm Street be without dreams? You're right. But I would argue that the dreams on Nightmare of Elm Street are all plot focused because the dream aspect of it is part of the antagonist's ability. So every single dream furthers the plot since they're all directly related to the antagonist. Absolutely. And Nightmare on Elm Street, what a great movie. Inca, like, they need to be impactful for me to enjoy them. Dream sequences are one of those things that editors and agents were dead set against for ages for being cliched. Interesting. editors, agents always think that dream sequences are cliched. I mean, for me personally, as an editor, so as a book editor, I'm not against dream sequences, but I do think dream sequences, I think that's the biggest thing. And I also think of where it is at in the story. If you're at a high emotional beat in the story, and then you have a dream sequence about them walking through a field, you've now just pulled the tension from what you were setting up. I think where the dream sequence is in the book is a huge factor. And then of course, it sounds like intentionality is very important. Interesting. I agreed with think when I was learning the rules of writing, I was constantly told that dreams are cliche. So I just don't write them at all anymore and find another way to foreshadow or prophesize. That makes sense. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. Like, I guess it depends on why it's put into a story. All right. Well, awesome. On that note, if you're enjoying the stream, follow and subscribe because this is not a dream. We are a daily writing motivation stream, 390 consecutive writing streams and counting. So if you're looking for a daily writing motivation community, if you're looking for author interviews, critique shows, we have our book club will be our next major holiday event coming up in the spring, and the podcast. We have so much going on with the community. So if you're really looking for motivation with writers of all backgrounds, this is the place to be. Make sure to tap that follow, tap that subscribe button, and hopefully you'll be alerted when we go live. And if you are subscribed and you're still not receiving the notifications, I know you also have to hit the little bell icon on YouTube to increase the likelihood of being notified when I go live. Absolutely. All right, my friends. Mary, that's funny. A cliche overused or betrays a lack of original thought per Google. I mean, cliches become cliches for a reason. It's because they've just been used so much. I think you can always use cliches to an extent, but you have to recognize that if something's cliched, it comes down to what is reader's expectation around the cliche. There's a reason that things work out really well and then they go out of style, and then those same things become popular like 5 to 10 years later. That happens a lot. All right, so let's hop into writing sprint number 3. Let's get in a little bit more writing. Let's end off the writing session strong. I believe in us, whether you're brainstorming, writing, or editing. That is all part of the process because it's time to get into the writing and right now. All right. And that was the writing sprint. How did that work out for you guys? Were you able to hopefully get in some words that time? 3 sprints strong. I felt really, really good about what I was able to achieve today. I got, what was that? 3, we did 20 minutes, 20, 40, 60, about an hour, 15 minutes of dedicated writing. And I think I only spent maybe about 10 minutes of that time procrastinating. So I felt like I made some pretty good progress overall today. I was like, let's see what I all got through. Yeah, so it looks like overall I got through about 750 words. And then I know I had to go back and make some changes. So not horrible. I made a little bit more word progress yesterday, but today I was also had to kind of plan and think through the chapter too. So I'm not too concerned. And I feel like I've gotten through the majority of this beginning part of the chapter. I'll have to continue thinking through if the dream sequence makes sense that I had added for it or if it's necessary. I kind of have to think about it. I feel like I did need tension. I do kind of like it, but I'm trying to think of how I should incorporate the dreams as tension building. So we'll see. But now that means I'm all ready to hop into the Pebble arc. I'm so excited to finally reintroduce our favorite flying little aggressive pixie. Oh man, I'm so happy. Finally able to get back to the introduction of our aggressive little pixie. Who doesn't love a pixie with an anger complex? All right, a little bit of a god complex. Oh man, well I am very, very happy with that. And it looks like we all got some good work over here as well. Calvin totaled 775, Courtney 200, Inca 519. Awesome. So it sounds like we're all kind of getting some good progress. Yeah. And I feel overall of all the writing sprints we did today, I feel really great about it. Now, as that brings us to, let's see, what is today? Today is Friday, isn't it? Yeah, today is Friday. So as that brings us to creative writing on the morrow, that means tomorrow is the story and critique show. If you want feedback on your story or you want your story read aloud, submit now. The Story and Critique Show is our popular Saturday critique stream where I will do a live reading and a live critique of your story. I know I've seen a good number of submissions, so make sure to submit now if you want to increase the chance of getting your story read. I don't know how many have been submitted so far. On average, submissions tend to range anywhere between about 5 to 15 on average per show. I try to get through as many as I can, and if I don't get through yours, it gets pushed to the next show. So we'll see what we're able to get through tomorrow, but make sure if you want to submit, the submission link is down in the YouTube description. Our critique stream is on Saturdays or every other Saturday. Tomorrow's episode, which I think is episode 35, the 35th Story and Critique Show stream tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. So I'll be back 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern for the Story and Critique Show. Make sure to come join me. Even if you haven't submitted, it is one of our most fun streams where you get to just sit back, relax, and enjoy some good old-fashioned storytelling. And if you enjoyed the stream, tap that like button on your way out. Help us show the algorithm that writing streams are cool. All right, my friends, today has been great. I'll be back with Sunday. We'll have another writing sprint stream, so we'll get some more writing in on Sunday. But unfortunately, that brings us to the end of the stream. Don't forget, words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kaufman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, writers.
Right now.
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 Because it's time to write now.